Hi guys, welcome to the Language Ed YouTube channel. My name is Johnny. In today's video we're going to be talking all about the differences between definite and indefinite articles. So before you get yourself potentially lost in the complexities of what we mean by these unusual sounding grammatical terms, if you're not used to listening to grammatical concepts and ideas like articles, definite, indefinite, all these words, actually if we take our time and slow down, if you are a native English speaker, this will be something that will be really easy for you to follow once you understand what the definite and indefinite articles in English are. And similarly, if you are not a native English speaker, you will realise that actually this is one of the easier elements of learning English in comparison to learning any other European language, which in nearly all other cases of European languages, the situation with definite and indefinite articles is far more complicated than it is in English, as we'll see later in the video, as by way of explaining these terms. So, if we go through this in the basics, the definite article in English is quite simply the word the. Okay, so the definite article in English is the word the or the. The, job done. That is it. I'll explain what we mean by definite article in a sec, but keep that in mind. The definite article is the word the. So indefinite articles, we have two options in English. We have the indefinite article a or a and the indefinite article an. Now, if you're someone who's a native English speaker, you may not have clocked into this. You probably were explaining this at school, but maybe not if you're my age, because we went through a phase of not really understanding or being taught any grammar whatsoever when people of my sort of age went to school here. But these days, it's very much back on the curriculum as far as I'm aware. But essentially, either way, we've got a relatively straightforward thing to understand here, that if we've got an indefinite article which is preceding a noun which begins with a vowel, then we're going to use an. So it sort of gives us a n sound before we go sound before we go into the vowel. So like an ant, an elephant, an aardvark, etc., etc. And if we've got a noun that is beginning with a consonant, we're going to begin with start with the indefinite article a. Okay, so a car, a cat, a bat, a rat, or a. Either way, the same thing. Okay, so that is it. That is the indefinite articles a and an, and the definite article the. Job done. So why do we have this difference? What do these words signify grammatically speaking? Well, as you can see from my examples, definite and indefinite articles precede a noun. Okay, so they are telling us a bit more about the noun. So if we are talking about a specific thing, then we are going to use the word the. The. So this is the pen that I'm holding. So I'm holding this specific pen. So I'm going to be talking about the pen in my hand. Definite article, the pen in my hand. Now, interestingly, the very first time we mention something in a sentence, we're probably going to use, in most cases, we're going to use the indefinite article the first time. So I'll say I'm holding a pen. You see, even though it's this specific one, the first time we mention it in a sentence, we're going to use the indefinite article, I'm holding a pen or a pen. The pen has a blue lid and blue ink. The pen, because we now know, we've referred to it already in the sentence, first time around with the indefinite article. Now we're nailing down to say this particular pen, the pen in my hand has a blue lid and, well, blue top to the lid and blue ink in it. Okay, so the pen, definite article, because it's this specific one, this exact one that we're talking about. Okay, so if we're talking about a pen, then it's general. Okay, so it's important that you have a pen when you turn up to school. It's not important that you have this particular pen. It's not important that you have the pen when you turn up to school. It's important that you have a pen, which is a general term. So the indefinite article is not definite. It's saying that you need to have a pen when you turn up to school. You don't need to have the particular one. Now, if you needed to have a particular one, because say you've been bought an expensive pen by a relative and they said, you need to go to school with the pen, then you would need to turn up to school with that particular one. So that is why you're using the word the in that sentence. Okay, so hopefully that should now explain it. If you definite and indefinite articles are the things that are going to help you to introduce a noun, and whether or not it's the specific noun, or whether it's a general noun, it's going to be whether it's indefinite or definite. And the definite is the word the in all contexts, and the indefinite is a if the noun begins with if the noun begins with a consonant, and an if the noun begins with a vowel. Happy days. Now, the reason why I say this is relatively straightforward in English is because in most other European languages, you have this complicated concept of gender. I say complicated concept. If you're a native English speaker, gender is a ridiculously complicated concept, because for native English speakers, we only use gender when we're talking about specific things that are male or female. We're not talking about things such as pens having a gender. But for example, in French and in German and in Spanish, everything has genders, and therefore there are different definite articles for the masculine and feminine things. So for example, in Spanish, we have masculine definite is el, and masculine and feminine in feminine definite article is la. So therefore, and then you have the uno and una. So so it gets more complicated in other European languages than it is in English. Much more complicated. In German, it goes to a whole new level, because you also have der for masculine, die for feminine, and das for neuter, which is a separate category of things. So English, interestingly, used to have all these different indefinite and definite articles, but we got rid of that as part of the transition from Old English right through to modern English, for reasons that I will explore in separate videos. But these days we don't have any of that complexity. We are just left with a definite article, the, if you're talking about a specific noun, and indefinite articles, a or an, if you're talking about a general noun. Okay, so I hope that has explained the difference between definite and indefinite articles. And if you are a native English speaker, hopefully now you understand what we mean by these potentially complex terms that actually aren't that complicated after all. And if you are somebody who's learning English, you can be thankful that in this one element, because I know there's other elements of English that are super complicated compared to most other languages. For example, the past tense is an absolute mess. In this one particular element, English is actually relatively straightforward to learn. So I hope you've enjoyed that, my friends. Please do consider subscribing if you enjoy this content, and I'll catch you for more grammatical terms and language-related banter and fun in future videos. Adios, arrivederci, que tengas un buen día, buongiorno, schönen Tag noch.